We have made it to conference championship weekend, and we are down to our final four. Who is going to Miami? Johnny Talk Sports here to bring you my conference championship predictions. And if you would have told me back in July that these are going to be our final four teams, I would have only thought that Kansas City would have definitely been there. I could have seen it being San Francisco with what they've been doing in the draft and in free agency the last couple of seasons. I knew they were on the rise. I knew they were coming. I just wasn't sure about it being this year, considering Jimmy Garoppolo has yet to play a full season in the National Football League as a starting quarterback. I also thought Green Bay probably needed a couple seasons to get back to where they were. And I would have never expected the Titans to be here at this point, really ever. And all of a sudden, it seems the Tennessee Titans, they seem to be unbeatable. And Derrick Henry, the star running back for the Titans, just seems unstoppable at this point, as he has completely dominated in his last three contests. So let's get to my conference championship predictions. Now, just like the wild card round, last week in the divisional round, I went 2-2. So I'm at 4-4 in the postseason, which is only 50%. However, with 3 games left to predict, hopefully I can get at least 2 out of 3. That way I can go above 500 for the postseason. So since the AFC title game is first this year, I will first predict and preview the AFC Championship game. And this year, the AFC Championship game features the Tennessee Titans and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now this is a rematch of Week 10 where the Titans, they came from behind and beat the Chiefs and pulled off an upset against the Chiefs 35-32 in what I would say is, despite the Titans having these big finishes and unbelievable performances throughout the season, I think this is arguably the turning point of this Titans season. Because the Titans, just that previous week, they had gotten beat by the Carolina Panthers by double digits. And we saw the Panthers season turned out. And the Titans, they responded by pulling off an upset against Kansas City. And the big question in this matchup, can the Kansas City Chiefs stop Derrick Henry? Well, there's 2 things that you should know about this matchup. One, the Tennessee Titans have won 4 games in a row against the Chiefs. And another thing, the Chiefs have not been able to contain Derrick Henry that well in his short career against, at least so far, against the Chiefs. Because in his 3 games versus Kansas City, he has put up good numbers. And here's his stat line game by game versus the Chiefs in his career in 3 games. His first one. Now this was back when he was splitting carries with DeMarco Murray. 9 carries, 58 yards, 2 touchdowns. And this second one is the wild card game from a couple of seasons ago, where the Tennessee Titans came from behind in that one. 23 carries, 156 yards, and a touchdown. And in Week 10, 23 carries, 188 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So if the Chiefs defense can't stop Derrick Henry, can't contain him, it's going to be a long afternoon for this Kansas City Chiefs defense. However, since Week 10, not only have the Titans gotten stronger, but the Chiefs have gotten better as well. And one thing that we have to also account for in Week 10, Pat Mahomes threw for 446 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now that was kind of back when he was getting back into the feel of things, because he missed a couple games earlier in the season with an ankle injury. And the Chiefs also had a lead late in the fourth quarter, but they gave it up and allowed Tennessee to come all the way back in that game. And that included, I don't know what it was, probably one of the most bizarre innings that you can actually see. From what I was seeing, that on that field goal attempt where Dustin Colbert just completely threw it. I don't know if they were trying to fake it or whatnot, but the Chiefs definitely lost that game for themselves. They beat themselves in that matchup. So the Chiefs, I think if they can correct their mistakes from that last game, from that fourth quarter, I think the Chiefs will win this game. But a big key for that definitely is to stop Derrick Henry, because if you can contain Derrick Henry to less than 100 yards, I like your chances to win the game, because that will force Ryan Tannehill to have to make throws to win the game. And Ryan Tannehill made a couple of big throws in the game against Baltimore. But what we're also forgetting about that last week is that the Titans defense was a huge difference maker in that one too, because the Titans defense was able to force 3 turnovers against the Lamar Jackson-led Ravens offense. And they were able to exploit Lamar Jackson, force him into making mistakes early in the game, and they took advantage of it. So if you're the Chiefs, your best strategy is to play clean football on offense, and it's okay if Derrick Henry, if he has his moments against your defense, as long as you're playing mistake-free football, I like your chances to win the game. And as far as my prediction for this game is, I see it being a lot like the Week 10 matchup. However, I think it's going to be a different result. I think the Chiefs, they correct their mistakes. I do think Derrick Henry is going to be able to have his way with the Chiefs defense. However, I just think Kansas City picked up a lot of momentum after that 24-0 deficit against Houston and managed to outscore the Texans 51-7 after that. And I think the Chiefs, they have new life in this franchise, and I think they're going to finally get to the Super Bowl, to where they belong. I think the Chiefs win this game by a score of 41-37. I think Ryan Tannehill is going to be forced to make some plays in that matchup, but I just think that Pat Mahomes is going to make one play that Ryan Tannehill will not be able to. And as someone that roots for Texas A&M football, I'm very familiar with Ryan Tannehill and his story, and it's very exciting to see him at this point in the NFL season, but I just can't see it. I just think this Chiefs team is very motivated to get to the big game after falling just short of it last season. I'm taking Kansas City to advance to Miami. And next we have the NFC Championship game, and this year the NFC title game will feature the Green Bay Packers and the San Francisco 49ers. And this is another rematch from earlier in the season where San Francisco completely dominated Green Bay by a score of, I want to say it was 37-8. One of the worst that we've ever seen Aaron Rodgers play in the National Football League. And that night, it was a Sunday Night Football game. That night, the 49ers established themselves, and we established that with a performance like that, we were able to really see the 49ers for as good as they are. That we established them as a good football team after that performance. And I know they had some really underachieving performances against the Redskins and the Falcons. However, I just like with what San Francisco's been doing. They have been completely nailing the last couple of NFL drafts. The Packers have been doing that as well. So these are two teams that are on the rise. And I could see these two teams facing off in next year's NFC Championship matchup. I really can see it. I can see this becoming the new NFC title game rivalry. But what was surfaced around social media this week, Aaron Rodgers' interview from his draft year, and where he wasn't going to be a 49er, and he said he's not as disappointed as the 49ers will be if they didn't draft me. That was his exact quote. And do I think he's going to be motivated in this matchup? Absolutely. But here's what you got to look at. I think the 49ers run game is just too lethal for this Packers defense. I did say back in the preseason this defense for Green Bay was going to be very much improved. And it was. They're at this point in the season. With Aaron Rodgers, you're never out of a matchup. But the way I see this matchup taking place, I see it being almost a similar story. I think this game will be a lot closer this time around, But I just can't see San Francisco winning by score of 37-8. I see it being kind of like the NFC title game back when Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. I think that first drive of the game, if the 49ers happen to get the ball first in that matchup, I see it being a slow, methodical drive for the 49ers. I see possibly a long drive to start the game, kind of get your offense going, get your defense feeling encouraged about an early lead, getting your crowd into it. And I think it's going to be a long night for Green Bay. I like the 49ers to win this matchup solely because who else can step up on offense other than Davante Adams and Aaron Jones for the Packers? Because somebody else other than Davante Adams is going to have to make a play. And I'm just not sure if those two can carry the Packers offense with Aaron Rodgers on their backs. Jimmy Graham could make a couple plays, but I just think that this is the year the 49ers can finally get back to their glory days, back to the good old days for San Francisco football. As I like the 49ers to win the NFC title game by a score much closer than it was earlier in the season. I'm going to say 31-21. I think it's going to be a 10-point victory for the 49ers. And based off those predictions, I have it being the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers going to Miami in what will be named the Joe Montana Bowl. So comment your predictions down below, like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. I'm starting to get back into that mock draft series. I expect the Redskins mock draft and the Lions mock draft to be up soon, along with the Giants mock draft. I've got to get a little bit caught up, so we'll probably get about maybe 2 or 3 a day at some point. So see you soon.